1981. Ostensibly, it was a collection of their greatest hits, with reworked versions of Shine On You Crazy Diamond, Wish You Were Here, and Another Brick in the Wall. In fact, Dave Gilmour entirely re-recorded Money, playing every instrument on the track except the saxophone. As an entity, however, Pink Floyd were beginning to deteriorate. The acrimonious disputes that Roger Waters had had with the director of The Wall, Alan Parker, over the interpretation of the film's screenplay left him in no mood to compromise with the remaining band members over the making of the final cut, which was released on March 21st, 1983. Again, a concept album, Waters vents his anger and frustration at Margaret Thatcher's Britain of the early 80s, the pointless loss of life in the Falklands War, and the shattering of the post-Second World War socialist dream. Although recorded in 8 different British studios, Waters' domination of things had now become so omnipotent that Dave Gilmour and Nick Mason had been reduced almost to the status of session musicians, and had very little say, if any, in the album's direction. This is a great pity because the album showcases some of Waters' most powerful and moving lyrics, and one can only wonder how great the album would have been if the studio atmosphere had been more harmonious and the band united. The Gunner's Dream stands out particularly as a musically haunting reference to the human waste of war, while the Fletcher Memorial Home is yet another tribute to Roger Waters' father, Eric Fletcher Waters, to whom the album is dedicated. The wonderfully mellow guitar solo provided by Dave Gilmour on the title track, The Final Cut, would indeed be just that for Pink Floyd.
Final Cut's like the Suicide Note.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. And it's not a band album, and I think that it shouldn't, I mean, my opinion is that it shouldn't have been a Pink Floyd album. It should have been a Roger Waters solo album. And I think that's very clear in it, because that's even more bleak than The Wall.
The Final Cut was the Final Cut, really.
Yeah, I mean, it spelt the end of Rick Wright's involvement with the band.
I mean, the band obviously believe that Pink Floyd continues, really, but I think in the eyes of the fans, the majority of them, Pink Floyd exists in name, but not in body.
Yeah, I think that's probably true to a certain extent, and I think the problem with the Final Cut, and that